friend of mine once changed a handful of names in my phone when I wasn't looking. Jason's name was changed to Atomic Bloom. It wasn't a nickname I ever used to his face, but it was a good one, so I kept it in my phone for more than a decade. And Jason had a lot of nicknames. J-Bomb, Big J, The Codfather, Flash, and many more. Nicknames are often the result of best friends. You could maybe say the more nicknames you have, the more best friends you have. Most people are lucky to have one, a nickname or a best friend, but Jason was luckier than most and he had a lot of both. But he also had something that people desire most, a super power. And without a doubt, Jason was one of the good guys, with a superpower only capable of good. Jason's superpower was being your best friend. And he was uncanny at it. It wasn't just being a best friend. A lot of people have described Jason as their big brother, or have said they felt like they were his sister. And of course, his actual siblings remember him as a big and little brother, sometimes both at the same time. Jason had a way of making everyone feel like they were the most important person in his life. How does someone do this? I've asked people what it was about Jason, and some folks remember Jason as someone who always made them laugh. But for many, it was the way he took time to provide compliments and words of affection. He'd remember things about people, like their favorite sports team, or take a moment to ask about a family member. When I briefly spoke to Jason while he was in the hospital, he had enough energy to say just a short sentence. He said, "I'm sorry to hear about Ashley's uncle," referring to my wife's uncle who passed while Jason was fighting for his own life. His last text to me was wishing her uncle well and keeping him in his prayers. That's the kind of man that Jason was, always thinking about others before himself. He wasn't simply a good friend or a best friend. He wasn't just a good best friend. He was the best friend. So good at it, he had heaps of best friends and deserved every one. I know a lot of people lost their best friend when Jason passed away. In the way he lived, Jason taught me the true meaning of life, and I pledge my life to this moving forward. The true meaning of life is being a best friend. A friend who loves and says, "I love you." A friend who makes you laugh and laugh with you. A friend who often calls you something cool. A friend who always makes time, and a friend who understands that life is too short to give anything but your best to your friends. I love you, Jason Blohm. The way you lived has inspired thousands, and you live forever in our hearts.